Good evening, folks. It's time for some more development. In between times, I have tidied up the rocket a little bit. We have tidied this up. We do need to take another look at it, to be honest. But we've tidied this right up, added some custom events for the finished and the switch view, which moves this code down to here and is a bit more easy to understand. So that's good. So we've done that, and the next thing we're going to do, which we had a problem with earlier on, was the warehouse. Now let's have a look at the warehouse and see what we can do. I will explain the problem once I get it open, and we shall take a look. And here is the warehouse. And if we take a look at the warehouse here, these green planes are basically the things that we are interested in. Okay, so for example, we want to write this one here. So this is a material instance, okay? So we want to have a look at this. And we have opacity, but we do not have emissive, right? So what we're going to do right off the bat is we're going to go to our base, we're going to double click, and we're going to add another parameter, and we are going to call it emissive, and it's going to go in here, and the default is going to be 0, that's going to be 10, sorry, no it's not, that's going to be 0, and that's going to be 10, okay, and we shall save that, and that will affect all our things. So if we take a look at our warehouse there, it still looks the same, which is fine, but what we're going to do is we're going to go into the event graph, and so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to variables, and this is going to be our dynamic material, and we're going to set this to dynamic material instance. Okay. Then on our begin plate, we're going to delete this out of the way. So we're going to create dynamic material instance, and its parent is going to be this, and then we're going to set it to this, okay, and the next thing we're going to do is right, that's okay. 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 So what we're going to do is select that. Okay. And we drag down. And on begin. And then we'll do the same again. And on end. Okay. Then we do this one. And on end. Then we do this one. And end. Then we do this one. And end. And we just basically do this for all of them. So that's 4. And finally 5. Okay. And now what we do is we grab every second one, we drag them out to here, and we actually had more than that. Well, we'll worry about that. This is begin mouse cursor over, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Drag that up. Get these all together basically. And the same for this. Or the same for these. We want to put it that way. Drag them up. Drag that up. Drag these up. Drag those up. We have a little one left on its own, which we can move up there. Okay, so as long as we've got all the begin cursor overs together and all the begin end cursor overs together, then we're fine. Okay. That'll do. Right. And then what we'll do is we'll pull off that and we'll add a reroute node. Then we'll join these all up. And join that one up. Right. Then we'll do the same here to get ready to do what we need to do. And we add reroute node, drag to there, drag to there, drag to there, drag to here, and drag to here. So this is end cursor over. And what we actually need to do here is we basically need to get all of those things and set the dynamic material. So we're going to say set material and there should be one here on its own. Maybe not. Right, so anyway, what we'll do is we drag in here and set material, and I am pretty sure let's see if we can or we can't. If we do plane 1, can we plug it in? Yep. Plane 2, plane 3, plane 4, plane 5, and we shall move them up here. Right, and then plug them all in. So these are all getting the same material. That's fine. Come down here now, and with this one we shall get this, and scalar, set scalar parameter value, and this is going to be emissive, and here we're going to duplicate that. And we've got one thing to check before we do this, but we're going to set this to 10 and see what that does for us. We need to do, we don't have the controller here, unfortunately. Let's have a look at begin play. Ah, we do. So where is it? That's weird. That is weird. Right, anyway, back to the point. We have a controller, but it doesn't show up in the variable list. That's bizarre. So let's see if... Yeah, we can get the controller. Game state. Mode, so we get the current game mode. And if it equals I'm not too sure what it is. We'll check another building for this to see what it actually is that we need to check for here. Not too sure if it's add to spline or I think it's add to spline, but we'll check it anyway. So it's not going to be in a minor, so we'll check the fabricator. Yeah, it's add to spline. Okay, so that's fine. So add to spline. And we branch on that. So if it is add to spline, we do that. Then we can move this to here. That looks pretty lined up to me. We can do that. Okay. So we can save all, and if we now test this, we can do a new game. We'll call it where. And build that, and we can actually do this pretty easily because all we need to do is build a refiner here and then plug it straight in. And that's weird how it's not. Oh well, let's not worry too much about that for now. So we'll join our spline on. And that kinda didn't work. Unless, of course, right, stop that for now, press play again, continue that, unless I did that wrong. Right, so what we'll do is we'll build this again. I think I was actually going in the wrong direction there, and that's why it didn't work. Okay, that's ready to build. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so that works now. Oh, I meant to try something again. Yeah, so that works, yeah. So now our warehouse inputs light up so that we can see when we're actually over the top of them. And that works absolutely fine. Right, so now what we can do is we can add this over here. And drag these down here. Yeah, that'll do. Looks pretty good to me. Okay. And that should be them all level. So we've sorted all that out, save that, do a save all. Okay. So there's two more things that I wanted to have a look at tonight, which will be a bit interesting. So if we continue again, right, I shall show you the issue here. Right, without doing too much building, but in the meantime we'll do a quick probe there, but I'm going to show you what the issue is. Okay, if you click on this, you'll notice that it doesn't really tell you very much about like what speed it's got and stuff like that, whereas, well, the miner's going to show us in a second. Now these ones are all pretty much the same. The only one that's kind of different is the research, and that's because we don't have a research widget at all. Okay? So you'll notice here we've got products per cycle, cycle speed, current workers, overall efficiency, material available, total mined, right? And for this one, we've got the inputs and outputs and select a recipe, but we haven't got any of the additional information here. Okay? And worse still, for here, the building, we don't, a research building, we have nothing. Okay? And basically it's the same. In fact, this doesn't even do anything, right? And neither does this building, which is cool. Now, if there's anybody watching live at the moment, would you like me to work on the widgets to update details, or would you like me to have a look at drones? Because what I'm thinking is, if, like for example, rather than having it do this type of thing, which I still quite like, right? I still quite like it, you know, doing that. But what we could actually do is launch some drones. Okay, because we do have a drone that we could play with, right? So my idea here is, if we stop this for now, right, what we could do is, if we go down, now I don't think it's actually in there, rover, rocket, enums, AI, right, so it's not in here, but if we look at models, it's not in there. If we look at meshes, it's in here, I believe, right? And we have a skeletal mesh and animation sequences for this drone, right? So we could use this drone, and the first thing we'd need to do in that instance is check on kind of what size it is in comparison to our map, right? So if we look at our warehouse, we could do something like drone landing pads in the exact same position as the warehouse, right? And we're not going to do that, obviously. Right, so if we look at our drone, we can drag in a drone, and actually it's pretty big. Yeah, we kind of like that. It's not got an animation blueprint, but we have got an animation sequence here. So I'm guessing that this is just, yeah, the rotor's going. Yeah, so we can do that. Right? We can work with that. So, these drones are not going to be right. What we'll do, right, is we shall make landing ports on our base, right? So if we click on this, then we can edit the blueprint. Right, we can go to the viewport, then we can make it not visible. Okay. And I'm just thinking here, we could look for like a landing pad decal. Landing pad decal. Right, and if we go to images, I'm looking at some landing pad decals here, by the way. Now, what do you guys think these should actually have written on them? Because basically, yeah, we could, right, okay, whatever. Right, so what we'll do is we'll add a component, right? And then what we'll do is we'll add a scene component, and we shall call it landing pad 0. Okay. And what we'll do, just to test this out, right? See, that's underneath, right? Or in fact, is it underneath? Yeah, it's miles underneath, right? So we're going to make that 35. That says above now, right? And we shall stick a drone in here just to have a look to see what it looks like. Right, and that's going to be 0 and 0 relatives. Right, so let's have a look at that. when we press play, it's still pretty much below, isn't it? Right, so what we need to do is change our landing pad. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's minus 35. That should be 0 as well. Right, so if we press play here, we should get an idea. Just wondering if that's in line or not, you know. Yeah, I mean, that looks okay. The point is, if we move this to, right, stop that. If we move the landing pad to 40, and press play, right, then we drag over a bit and down a bit, and stop that. Okay, now I'm going to delete that for now. Okay, but what I'm going to say is, on begin play, we're going to spawn actor from class. Oh, we're going to have to make the drone actually. We're going to have to make the drone blueprint here. So, we'll save that for now. And we're going to create a blueprint. And it's going to be actor. So it's going to be BP underscore drone. Going to have to make some AI for this, which should be fun. There's going to be like different systems for this, I believe. So we're going to create the drone, and we're going to add a component which is going to be skeletal mesh. Then we'll call this S mesh. Okay, and the S mesh is going to be our skeletal mesh, and that's all cool. Save that, and it hasn't got an animation blueprint per se, right? So can we use an animation asset? We can. If you guys know in the chat, right, which is more efficient, whether we use the animation or whether we use a rotating movement component. Right? Now, what seems to be the front of this? I'm not too sure what the front of this is. I'm going to say this is the front, right? So, anyway, my idea here is that when the player fires the probes, what we do is we launch the drones, okay? So the drones lift off from the landing ports, right? And then they'll fly over to the place that we want, and then they'll do like a scan on the actual thing, on the tile. Right? And then basically they will return, once they've done that, they'll return home and land. Okay? So that's the plan. That's the plan. Whether we get it to work, don't know, but that's the plan. Okay, now it's going to need some AI, so we can certainly do that. Anyway, so we can leave it like that just now. And in our player base, we basically say spawn actor class, okay, and we split the struct. We get the landing pad world location. It's not set world location. It's basically get world location. Get world location. And that can go in there. Save that. And obviously the class is BP underscore drone. And this actually might be quite cool. Right, so we press play, and as you can see, we have our drone waiting to go. Okay. And what we can do now is we can duplicate this. Right, we can go to the viewport and drag it over, duplicate that or save that, then we go to our event graph, and then we basically do the same thing again. Now obviously I could do this a separate way. I could do this as a list of, I could set this up as a list. And we're doing this as landing pad 1. So we drag that in, pop that in there. Okay. Good evening, Game Adyan Studio. How are you this fine evening, fine Wednesday? So what we do for here is we've now got our 2 drones being automatically spawned right at their landing spots. And now we need to start setting this some AI. And somebody's making a lot of noise downstairs, just hang on a second. In which case, good morning to you, fine sir. Give me a second, I'm going to turn the mic off, there's some stuff going on outside. Okay, so hopefully the noise outside has calmed down a bit. So we need to set up our stuff basically. So we need to create a blackboard. So that's going to be bb underscore drone. And we need to set up a behavior tree, which is going to be bb, no it's not, it's going to be bt for behavior tree, and that's going to be drone. So set that up, and the first thing that we're going to need is a vector, and that's going to be home location. One of the most frequent questions I get asked, it's a mix between factorial, satisfactory, surviving Mars, and a hint of RimWorld. So we have home location, right? And we're going to get target location. Oh, damn it. That's not what I meant to do. Right, so we want a new key, vector, and target location. Right, and we might want a vector of a float of fly height. Okay. And that should do us for now, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to find all the other drones, and each of them is going to, like, we're going to have a minimum height, and then each of the drones after that are going to set a height that isn't the same, so that basically they won't crash into each other, right? I know it's a bit of a crappy way of doing it. Although I haven't said it's not a crappy way of doing it. If I was to set a navigation mesh at a height, right, that the drones actually fly at, then it would actually work as well. We can try it both ways, right? What we'll do is we'll try it both ways when we're doing it. So we've got a drone, and we're going to have a bull, and that's going to be has target. We'll add these as we need them. Okay, have a good day, mate. Have a good day, Adrian. And thanks for popping by. So the next thing is we're going to have to do our behavior tree, and we're going to do a selector off of that. No, we're not doing that. We're doing a selector, right? Now and this is where I need to remember how to do this. So we're not doing that in actual fact. So what we're actually doing is, let's take a look at one of the vehicle ones to see what they do, even though they're not doing a heck of a lot anymore. Right, so we go down here, blackboard base condition, blackboard base condition. Right, okay, fine. So we're coming down here and we're saying selector, and it's blackboard, and that's the wrong blackboard. So we want to close that down. I've actually closed the wrong one down, like an idiot. Right, so we actually want to go back to our drone, wherever the hell it is. It was under meshes, wasn't it? Yeah, here it's here. And it's actually drone. There we go. And this has target. Okay. Actually, I think this is actually going to be a sequence. Let's have a look again. I'm trying to think. This is the problem with jumping around different things all the time. You then get right. So that's the one checking if it's a scout, right? And this is one check is waiting. Right? And that's, yeah, it's a sequence. Right. Has target is set. And okay. Then what we do is a sequence. Okay. And this might be end up being a selector again, but we'll have a look. So what we're going to do here, so if it doesn't have a target, right, if it doesn't have a target, then we don't do anything. If it does have a target, we're going to have a task, right? So basically what we'll do here is we're going to go into the drone, right? And we're going to create a enumeration. So this is the drone status. Okay. So what we'll do is we're going to add, so we're going to say is waiting, right? We'll do, actually we'll do a couple of things here. We'll do taking off, we'll say traveling to target. We might need this, we might not. Reached target. And finally, well, actually not finally, we'll put drop to scan, Then we'll have scanning. Then we'll have rise from scan. Then we'll have returning to home. Then we shall have landing. Okay? And that's all our different states that our drone can be in. So waiting, taking off, traveling to target, reach the target, drop to scan, scanning, rise from scan, returning to home, landing. Okay? So we should be able to control our flight so that when we, I'll let you see what I mean here. Right, so if the drone is here, well, let's press play so I can show you a bit better. Right, so here's a drone, right? And we can imagine that, let's say, we're going to probe here, okay? So this now has a target. So the drone lifts up, which is taking off. Then it goes to target. Then it drops down. Then it scans. Scan. Then it rises back up, returns home, and lands. Okay? That is the plan. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick break for a cigarette, and we're going to carry on with this. So, don't go anywhere, guys, and I shall be right back in 2.5 minutes. Okay, so let's carry on with this. And so the first thing we need to do here is set up the AI to use the correct behavior tree. Okay, and we're not going to do that, so we're not going to do that. Event on. Okay, so we're going to change this as well. Possessed pawn, we're going to cast to BP underscore. Well, apparently it doesn't want to do that. Right, we're going to save that for now. And the AI drone, we're going to make sure this is set up correctly. And apparently we've not set this up right. Right, because this should not. Okay. If we go to BP drone and here actor, we need it's AI. We don't really need any of these, to be honest. Right? But this itself, okay. Right, okay. What we'll do is we'll delete this. We'll delete this controller. And we'll just create the other one from scratch, okay? Come on. Get a move on. Let's go. Let's go. Right. So if we go to the drone, right, this should have, right, I can't remember where it is. Is it in default scene route? Rendering component tags. No. No. It's not in the mesh, that's for sure. Replication. It's not in there. It's not in there. It's not in collision. And it's not in there. Right, okay, whatever. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to go to artificial intelligence. And what's it going to be? Is it in miscellaneous? AI controller? Or if we do that, then we say AI controller, and select, and that's going to be AI underscore drone. Okay, and in here we don't need anything for the moment. But we do need to add this AI controller to our drone. Now, where is it again? I've completely forgotten where this is. I've got to set this to have an AI. Right, let's have a look at the vehicles again. Right. Right, these are just this. Right, that's the blueprint. Let's have a look in here. Yeah, we've got our BP char there, right? So it's a pawn. Right? So that in fact means that what we need to do with our drone is turn it into a pawn. Okay, so we can do that. You see how it doesn't have any stuff like that, so we can basically reparent it to a pawn. And then this should now give us what we want. Here, it's here. So place in world or spawned, we want the AI controller to be AI drone. Okay? And there we go. So the next thing is we go to our drone and in our event graph event possess we cast to BP drone, and then we run or apparently we don't. We say run behavior tree and it's PT drone. We should have the AI open. Let's open this. right? Just to see how this is doing it. Right, so we don't need that. What we're doing is we are going to that's got an E type and E status, right? So if we go back to our BP drone, we can add a variable E status, and it's going to be E drone status. Okay, and then where did our possess go? Oh, that's in our BP drone. We're looking for our AI drone. Okay. Right, so that's all fine. We're going to delete this. And in here, we don't want this. So we'll delete that. We actually want it in our AI. Okay, so in our AI, we're going to say E status, and that is going to be drone status. And we'll save that, right? Then we'll go to our BT drone blackboard, and can we? No. Okay, so yeah, it's an enum, and status, and then drone drone status, and we'll say instance. Seems about right, kinda. Okay. Save that. We're going to go back to here, and we're going to save that, because these don't appear to be linked. Yeah, they are now. Okay. They weren't linked before. Right. So next thing is we go back to our AI drone, and we default this to waiting. Okay, so now what we do is we get the blackboard, right, and we can easily see how to do this here. We get the blackboard like that, and we set this thing here. So we copy this. Well, actually, we copy this. We paste it into drone. Then we set it. Then we get our status. Plug it in there. Right, we don't do that. that is going to be status. Okay. And then let's check again what they do here. They're getting it right. They're getting it from, okay. Okay, so they actually are setting the status here in the AI and in the BP character vehicle, right? So if we look at that, it's also got the same things, E status, E type, right? So it looks like I'm keeping them in sync. So we'll do the same here. So if we go to BP drone, we can add a status to the BP drone, and if we save that, it defaults to waiting, which is fine. Okay, then if we go back to our BP drone, that was AI drone. What did I just change there? Well, that's fine. So we get the status and we plug that in here. So basically we actually probably didn't need to do that, right? Because it's already defaulting to that in the actual thing, right? So what we should be able to do here is have a look at the BT drone. Right, and basically what we do is we check its status. Well, we check this, right? And then this one is also going to be a selector, right? So we drag off here and we do a selector, right? And then off this one we do a blackboard, right? And then we check this one and it's going to be status. Save that. And that's like is waiting. Right, so we've now got if it's waiting. Right, and if it's waiting, we do nothing. Okay. So we can basically do tasks, and we can just tell it to wait, and then at least we'll see it doing something. So if we save that, right, and press, I'll tell you what we'll not do. If we go back to our base building, right, sorry, not our base building, but our fabricator warehouse, it's not that one, player base, right, we're not going to spawn this one. because that's just going to confuse matters. So we'll do that. Then we'll go back to BT drone and we should have seen that doing something. And it's set, is not set. Save that, press play, and there we go. Okay, so there it's rocking down the code there. Now we can basically do the same if we duplicate this. Right, so in actual fact this should be the other way around. This shouldn't be here. What we'll do is we'll break that, we might not need a has target because so we basically do status and we say taking off. Oops. Okay, so we just do the same thing here. We can do a tasks, then await. This is going to fail over here, then basically fail to here. Save that. And now if we set up our AI, right, in our BP drone, and we set the default to taking off, it should go down that second path. Should come down here if we press play, which it didn't. The status is taking off. Right, and because this is a selector, it should fail out and go to here. That's because it's set to is not equal to. Right, okay, whatever. Right, wait a minute. Right, that got a little bit confused there. It set itself to not equal to, but it was saying it was not equal to here, but it wasn't that when I actually did it. And there we go, right? So basically what it's going to do is it's gradually going to move along these. Okay. So what we can do is paste all of these. So we've got waiting, taking off, traveling to target. Okay. Can duplicate that one. Can do that one. I can duplicate that one. And that one. Not too sure if that's them all. But anyway. So it's equal to reach target. It's going to equal drop to scan. Scanning. Rise from scan. And we need two more. Oh, that was a wee bit too far. Okay, so we basically do that. We select both of them and drag them across. Right. And then we basically call this is waiting. That is taking off. Traveling to target. And reached. We probably don't need reach target. Right, so we can probably remove that. Right, why is it doing that? Why are you not moving? Right, you move. Right, thank you. Eventually. So this is drop to scan height. Scanning. Rise to. Hey, Fala Games, how you doing, mate? So that's rise to fly height. And finally, oh, rise from scan. We've got two rise from scans. Right, so we've got something after rise from scan. We've got returning to home and landing. Right, so that's going to be returning to home. and that's going to be landing. Okay, so we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different states of our drone. It's going to basically be a sequence so that when they change from left to right, yeah, a lot of people use Unity, nothing wrong with that if that's what you're comfortable with. Used it back in the day. Right, so we're going to here. I don't know why that wants to do that, but anyway. That's going to there. That's going to there. And I think I've got even more, one more, yeah, I have. Right, so we'll move these over to here. We'll move that up a bit. And we shall move this over to here. Right. I don't like the way these things kind of join on. Right, but anyway. So this is a special version of Blueprints. This is the AI, which is not Blueprints per se. I can show you a blueprint. Let's have a look at a blueprint. Now that's a blueprint, okay? That's a blueprint, and this is AI, which is kind of different. Right, so we're going in here, and if it's equal to waiting, then we don't do shit. Right? We could basically delete this if we wanted. So let's test again, and this is rise from scan. Well, in Unreal Engine you don't need to, you can just use this. I mean, you can do it in C++ if you like, but this is a visual representation of what's going on. We'll delete that. So what I can do now is I can say rise to fly height, which is rise from scan, right? And what I can do is go into here, and then I can set the default, the status to rise from scan, save that, and then if I go back to my BPT, my AI tree, then I run it, you'll notice that it goes down here. Okay, so that is an example of behavior tree, and it's using this blackboard. The what happens in Unreal is you get a different set of variables which the behavior tree acts on, right? And this is them here. He set them up together, like you basically say this is the blackboard with the keys, and this is the behavior tree that uses that blackboard, right? And then you set up an AI controller which basically starts this tree running, and then you attach that AI controller to the actual pawn. So if you look at here, this is the drone, and basically, is that, yeah, that's the drone. This is the controller. You tell it to run a behavior tree, and then this is me just setting the variable at the start, right? And that's the way it works. So usually you'll have like the behavior tree controlling like animation in an animation blueprint. So the three go together. You get a movement component which basically does default movement speeds and stuff like that, and then you attach that to an animation blueprint, attach that to the AI, and they basically all run together to make everything work, which can be a bit tricky to start with if you don't get the concepts, but in the end it is actually pretty good. So anyway, where were we? So at some point now we need to fire it to tell it if we have a target or not, right? And basically that's going to be in our tree, right? So fundamentally what we're going to do is we're going to add another selector, right? And that's going to go in here in between. So we basically kill that, then we do that, and we don't do that. No, it's a perception. If you're talking about like what if the AI, yeah, if it's AI, in my case here, the target isn't what you think it is, right? The target is picked by the player, right? It's not like a perception thing that you can see it or whatever. It's basically you selecting it, right? So what we've got to do here is I'm losing my mind here, is we're doing a blackboard key, right? And this might not be a selector actually, this might actually be a sequence. Yeah, it is. It's going to be a sequence. Right, so we'll add a sequence. I've not done one of these for a few weeks, so you tend to forget what the crap's going on. Actually, let's check it out, right? We'll put this in here, and we're basically saying if it is set, we go down here. Okay. It's a mix between factorial, satisfactory, surviving Mars, and a hint of RimWorld. Right, so let's actually see. TDS. Cell factor, right? That's a bit stupid. We don't want that. It has target. So this should actually be a sequence. No, it shouldn't. This should lead to another selector, right? But because is waiting, you do absolutely nothing, then it doesn't actually matter. Right, has target is set, and that's false. Right, and that's bullshit. Is not set. Yeah, this should be a sequence, in fact. That should be a sequence with this condition on it. So if we run it, you'll notice it's going down there, which is not what we want. Right? So let's do sequence. And we add a blackboard. And it is set, and it's on as target. And this should now not go down there until we set the target. But it is still going down there. That is weird. Let's get this out of the way. If it is set, right, it could be on value. As target is set. Okay. Why are you going down there? That's false. Has target is false. Didn't you notice? Right. Delete that. Right, that's blackboard. That's has target. Abort. Self is set. Right, save that. Why are you going down there? That's bizarre, because that shouldn't go down there. Right, we're going to stop that. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a selector in here as a main route to see if this aborts out. Yeah, check it out, mate. It's a tower defense game. Right, there's the issue. Right, I had nowhere to jump back to because the route doesn't count. Right, so we're fine now. Okay, I knew you needed a route, but I thought that route would be okay, but obviously it's not. So this is the fun part. So what we do is we need to go and find our probes. Okay. Right. So if we look at our probe grid, we want to check when we click on the grid. Now it looks to me like this isn't actually what we do. It looks to me like a left click on the controller is the thing that basically fires off our feed controller. And here we have our left click, and that's add to spline, so that's not it. That's right click, so that's not it. Okay, so grids. So if we look at BP grid, this is the thing that does the mining probes, okay? So what we can do here is, there's the location. Okay. So the first thing we need to know is right, so that does the mining probe. This is the one that does all the launch probey thing, which is basically what we want to do, right? And I'm guessing that this is getting all actors out, which is getting us the positions of the grid. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to get all actor, well actually no, we aren't going to do that. Well, yeah, we are. We are to a point. Get all actors of class. Okay, and these are going to be BP drones. We're going to get the length of this, right? So we can say length, and then that is going to be -1. Okay. And then we're going to match the index of these to the index of these, so that basically all the drones that we have will start basically flying towards the target, or each individual grid point, okay? But that is going to be for tomorrow, I think. So if you watched tonight, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we shall take it from here tomorrow. Hit the subscribe button and check out the description for my previous Steam game, Discord, and Patreon and all that stuff. You'll see there's links, so whatever. And we shall see you tomorrow at 2 PM Central. So good night everyone, and sleep well.